All right, good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Live the Fuel show here in 2021. It has been a hot minute. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is some of our newer content airing here in the later part of 2021. For our regular listeners of 5 years, I took a slight break to finish the book, but now we're back on the hot mic because I also need now to get the audiobook down because there's not enough work to do. But in the meantime, I'm trying to reconnect with more amazing new guest co-hosts for you all. And actually, I'm excited tonight because I got not one, but two guest co-hosts because they're a bit of a dynamic duo, and we're going to learn more about that tonight. And one of the things I've been slacking on for my energy and my balance and my lifestyle is something that we've talked about in the show before, meditation. So they might know a few things about that. We're going to dig into that and what they, I guess, niche out in the world as far as their world, because I'm also becoming a better geek about music as well. And there's an alignment there as well. So we might be talking about some emotional conduits. We might be talking about some songwriting, some energy. Obviously, I already hinted at meditation. Actually, and the gentleman, Frank, on here also, I want to find out about Nile River. Okay, hello, people, Birthplace of Civilization. There's a lot of stuff that might be flowing out here. And for our regular listeners, you know this is an open format show. They are our guest co-hosts. So it's a two-way street. So without further ado, Frank Kilpatrick and Rayko, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us here today on this beautiful afternoon.
I should say, you are airing from the West Coast, so it is beautiful over there, I'm guessing. It is, I've got nice 75 degrees today and sunny, so on the East Coast. So how's your temps over there?
Just about the same.
Oh, yeah, okay. About the same.
Wow. All right. Well, there we go. So you guys got connected to me because of my friends over at Interview Valet. Love them. They have a great team. And last year I was joking around because I was like, I don't know what to call those guys. There's now other groups that do the same thing. They help get me connected. When I started this show well over 5 years ago, I was just hunting people down myself. And then all of a sudden I'm calling them podcast guest agencies. Obviously their brand is Interview Valet, whatever. It's great because they get me great people that I get to sort through and then pick people out like yourselves. And one thing that really stood out to me is I don't care about how big somebody's social media following is. I don't care how many likes or followers they get on their stuff. I care about their content and I care about the quality of their messaging. And one thing, as I joked around about in the intro today, was I've been slacking on my own meditation. I will say I've never been deep into it, so I've had to fall back to little things like apps. But I actually, all of a sudden, as I'm talking to you guys, I remember when I went back to school a few years ago, before I became a firefighter for a little while, as an adult student, I paid my way through school while working a corporate job. Don't miss it. And I ended up finding some music to help me study. And it was dubbed or created or recorded up in Canada. And it was albums called, there's another thing of iMusic now, but back in the day, it was called iMusic, but it had nothing to do with Apple or anything. It was these CDs, so I'm dating myself again. But each CD was specifically—
At least it wasn't cassettes.
What's that?
It wasn't cassettes, at least.
Hey, I had cassettes. I'm in my 40s, so I had those too when I was younger. So it was this was, and then obviously, and then I found out how to rip them, so just into MP3 format, and then put them on my pre-iPhone. So all of that. But anyway, I loved it because each CD or each album had a specific underlayment. You guys can help explain this. So that's why I'm geeking out right now, because each one, like one was specifically designed for athletics. One was specifically designed or recorded for study or deep thought. One was specifically for research. So, and there was no words. It was all classical or like that type of music. So all instrumental. And I never listened to music like that before. Like when I started listening to music years ago in the 90s, I listened to Metallica and Megadeth, and then got into the grunge of Nirvana from the Northwest US, and then now I'm listening to classical music to help me like crush. Like I was doing marketing and minoring in psychology, and I was acing my psych courses. I was just soaking content up, and that's all I did. I put headphones in and listened to that music. So maybe that was putting me into a educational meditative state. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Well, the power of music is pretty substantial. We actually did a program a few months back where we at Stanford, where we talked about the connection and the nexus of music and its impact at a number of levels. And it's such a big area of scientific study now. You can geek out and read on binaural beats and
that's what it was.
Frequencies.
Yes, I remember that now. I remember those buzzwords. Binaural beats.
Well, even binaural acoustics have advanced dramatically in the last few years. And so for those people who are interested in that, that's a real a rich area to explore.
Okay.
Now, what we do in our gratitude videos that we've talked about is we have encompassed some of that, let's call it the strategy, but we don't take the technical approach to it. You don't have to understand all what binaural beats are to appreciate what we've done. The most technical we get, it's kind of interesting, is one of our collaborators is a fellow by the name of Alex Wand, and he won a Grammy a couple years ago. His area of focus is in the what's called microtonal arrangement, which if you want, again, kind of want to geek out, look up that in Wikipedia, and then you'll find that microtonal arrangement has to do with the notes between the notes. If you can imagine a keyboard, there are a number of tones between every possible note, and so there's more and more to hear, and we've encompassed some of that in our gratitude videos because we find that it's more engaging to the listener. Something about the mind wants to kind of resolve that little slight difference that they hear in the frequency of the tone.
Yeah.
So that makes it more engaging to draw you into meditation.
Interesting. So I want to grab some before we skip too far past it. You said things that, I mean, that's what I love about technology too, right? And the power of how we've moved. And I do love classic, just acoustic style music, but you have to admit the digital age has helped create so many new ways of creating music and content. But you hinted that in the past couple of years, binaural beats, for example, has advanced exponentially. So to timestamp when I found that iMusic stuff, that was between like 2003 and 2006. So obviously that's way before 2 years before that. So I was already finding positive results out of that. It was just, I was able to dial in and focus. And now I'm a huge Olympic fan, right? Because I love seeing all the Olympic athletes that got their headphones on. They're in that athletic meditative state, getting dialed in before their big performance, right? So
you're in the zone.
Yeah, you're seeing music. And I used to be a USSA ski race coach here in the Northeast, coaching kids in ski racing as well for 11 years. So I've always had athletics around my life. And I never used music athletically. And now I'm in my 40s and I go out to my gym. I have a CrossFit gym I built out in my barn behind the house here at our new house. And I get into the zone. I have certain music I can listen to when I work out, which is different than when I'm working. And I'm in here, we're producing podcasts and video content. It's amazing how much more now in my life music has been integrated because things have changed so much. So why in the past 2 years? What is that? Just technology has changed so much?
Just awareness of how binaural beats, actually, we might find that there's some significant improvement in the last couple of years, but binaural beats go back to, let's see, in the 1930s. I think they were demonstrated at a World's Fair, perhaps, if I have my facts right.
Wow.
So they kind of fell out of interest, and now they're just being revived because they find that there's dramatic therapeutic value to listening to music. Of course, it can alleviate stress. It can affect the heart rate. It can affect even things that we don't know, which we don't know of commonly, maybe diabetes. Let's speculate. I don't have any evidence of that music works to mitigate that, but look at it this way. If we reduce our stress, we improve our health. And if we improve our health, we reduce all kinds of chronic conditions. I've
had countless PhDs on this show over the years because we talk about health, business, and lifestyle. And yes, I'll just say, I mean, again, I don't need a PhD to confirm things that obviously we talk about nutrition. We talk about mental health. We talk about reducing cortisol levels. This is what you're hinting at, right? Reducing the stress impacts on the body. Even during COVID, they were talking about the impacts of cortisol and stress on the body is not a good thing, right? Yes, vitamin D. Yes, getting into the sun. Yes, taking care of your health, your fitness, your nutrition, but also the power of the mind over the body is exponential.
And you think about what music can do to Alzheimer's patients. Alzheimer's patients. Yeah. I mean, I used to be, before I became a full-time composer, I used to be a fitness trainer for all the wives of Hollywood executives.
All right.
And I mean, I use music so much training my clients, and everybody reacts differently to different music. And to kind of customize the music, kind of like what you were talking about, how you get yourself ready with music nowadays. I mean, it is very, very interesting how people react to certain music. And when I am getting ready to volunteer again for the convalescent homes,
Yes.
and the activity director that I spoke to said those Alzheimer's patients don't remember the names or the places they went to, or they don't even speak much. But when they hear the music that they are familiar with, they start singing. They have not forgotten the lyrics to the songs.
Interesting.
Yes. So yes, music plays a huge role in mental illnesses, disabilities, and simple things like get you going.
So Rayko,
I
are
would
you guys, so you're kind of hinting that you guys are seeing obviously maybe a crossover of the differences between impacting short-term versus long-term memory cycles on that content. Is that what
I
you guys are
guess,
saying?
yeah.
Is
I
it
mean,
tapping those different synaptic pathways maybe?
yeah, like when Frank was talking about the Stanford project that we did, it's called Arts of, what was it called? Frank, I have a
Artful.
short-term memory.
Better listen to the music.
There you
It's
go.
artful leadership,
Art for
Yes.
leadership. Okay.
done by a woman by the name of B.B. Song, who's led that for a while.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
then there's a segment in there that it clearly shows what music does to people with Alzheimer's in particular.
Okay.
And it is definitely a long-term memory thing because they hear music from when they're children, and
Sure.
they just start singing, they start moving, and it's just miraculous.
Very
Building on
interesting.
what Rayko said, it's just great. You can look that up on YouTube and find this really remarkable example of how music can make this difference, as you suggest, with people who can't speak, but music reconnects them.
Right.
Well, I know I've seen, oh my God, I had a couple of great influencers from the visually impaired side of our world. And they talked heavily about music, obviously, because your other senses become heightened. And I know, I'm blanking on his name, I think David Steele from the UK. He's actually just pre-COVID, he was just touring this country for his book tour. He's released multiple books of poetry as his vision was disappearing. And he's a big outspoken supporter, obviously, for that community. But he talks about, obviously, it is true that your other senses get heightened, obviously listening and hearing, and having that emotional response, that is emotional ties to music.
Yeah.
He says pretty profound and pretty exponential.
Pretty dramatic. And the thing is that you really, if you think about it, music's everywhere. It's at work. It's in an elevator when you go up to your office. It's on television. It's on movies. It's in your gym. It's everywhere because it's so powerful. But sometimes we don't recognize that it does have the impact that it does. And so our position is that harness music to your advantage, just as you were discussing.
Yeah. And I have noticed that I spent 8 years as Rayko was saying, you did some personal training, right? So I've always had fitness around me. I always had my full-time gigs before I became an entrepreneur, but then I've never had just actually firefighting was the only time I had one job because I couldn't work other jobs. I was stuck on the side of a mountain. But it's kind of hard to pick up other gigs. But even in my corporate career, like I was bartending, I was bouncing, I'm a huge cyclist. I taught spinning for 6 years. I would teach a 5:30 a.m. class, shower up, and go to my corporate job and manage people, in call center world and telecommunications. I've done a lot of stuff in my life, or as young as I am, but it's interesting how, again, over the years, I found music influencing me in a different way. Like I can't imagine. It's funny. I was out this morning pre-sunrise because I was traveling a lot this week for business. And I was making excuses for missing my workout. I never miss excuse to miss my workout. And I was like, that's it. Hold yourself accountable. You need to go in there and release some stress, drop the cortisol levels. So
Right.
hopped on the rowing machine, cycled in some jump rope, did some power cleans, then always hit my mobility afterwards. And but I listen to more aggressive music when I'm lifting heavy things.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
then at the end, I change that completely into something more relaxing when I'm getting into my yoga positions and mobility, right? Like I don't need, go, 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 metal stuff when I'm trying to zen out and loosen things back up again. But now,
Exactly.
I'm sure, Rayko, you would probably not, if you're trying to relax a client who might be stressed out, you're probably not putting on Megadeth or stuff like that, death metal or whatever. Disturbed is a band out there. It's pretty aggressive. Sometimes I listen to that when I'm doing some deadlifts, but yeah.
Deadlift, so important.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I have to say, real quick, thank you so much for your service for as a firefighter. Even though it was your ex job now, but it really, we appreciate everything that you have done.
California
though-
taught me a lot.
California.
Yeah, I was not actually normally. I was shipped there because serving as a hot shot, like there's hot shots and smoke jumpers. They were the elite, and then everybody else like hell attack and air attack, and you got the regular guys. But we were shipped into like hot shots hiked as deep as you could. Like we were designed to be kind of special forces ish, and like we were self-contained. Like, okay, they're going to that remote mountain division. If they need to camp out for a couple nights, we'll just airlift in food and they'll be fine. Stuff like that. But then the cool thing about being hot shots is that they ship you to all the big fires. So I got to travel the whole West. I was based in Arizona, but then after the first 2 months of the season, every hot shot crew that's strategically located around the West, including in your state, they're all of a sudden activated and they're put on a rotational list. So if a crew is pulled out of, let's say, the Angeles forest in your state, then another crew will be backfilled in. So there's always somebody supervising your forest. It was a very educational process this is over 10 years ago now.
Wow. Well, thank you.
I got one time I got stationed in Ocean Beach and I was like,
really?
I told them don't ever do that again. That was not fair. It's beautiful there. The weather in San Diego is not cool. It was like gorgeous. And I was like,
yes,
do not put me in Ocean Beach ever again. Because then it took me a month to come down off of that. You have some beautiful spots in California and the weather down there is fabulous.
Yes.
So,
yes.
The other thing to do in California this week, unfortunately, is the oil spill cleanup. And I know, Rayko, you're going to be volunteering for that.
Tomorrow, 9 a.m.
And taking the product that you're involved with, hemp, to absorb the oil. And that's a big project.
You just got to love the versatility of hemp, don't you? Like there is so many things that you just taught me today. And I want you to at least mention that here next. Was like, I feel like I'm always learning something else amazing out of something like hemp. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're not even talking about the marijuana component. Okay. We're just talking about the power of hemp. And I've seen it in clothing and wrist bracelets and you name it. Now you guys are using it to clean up oil. Like what?
Yes. Yes.
With less toxicity.
Yeah.
From what I've learned from Rayko.
It's a lot less. Well, the current thing that we use, the current chemical that we use to clean up the oil is really, really harmful for the environment. So we are teaming up with the local community of surfers and Weddling company, if I'm saying that correctly, to stuff up a bunch of hemp herbs in the bottle. And we are going to bring it out in the ocean. Before that, we're going to weigh the hemp herb so we know how much it weighed. And we are going to have the surfers and everybody helping us to bring it out in the spill area and bring it back to weigh it to see how much the toxic crude oil that hemp herb have soaked up.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
If this goes, it's already proven concept, the hemp soaks up because there is a
I was going to ask that next. It sounded like a prototype experiment, but this is already
been it is because I am in music and the fiberglass and rock wool foam insulation is highly toxic.
It is.
So as a podcast interviewer and everything, you have I'm sure you have the sound condition like acoustic panels everywhere.
Actually, those right behind me there, if that's natural wood on the front, but there's acoustic foam behind that.
We're looking at
right.
Yeah.
So when the foam ages, it starts to disperse microplastic into the air. and you're constantly breathing that into your lungs, and it is very harmful.
Wow.
And so we're making everything hemp-based, hemp wood, hemp insulation, and hoping it to replace all that toxic acoustic.
I would be the first one to volunteer. If you guys find a way to create decorative acoustic panels like this with hemp, I'm in. I'll rock that prototype.
That one we already have done. It's called, we just got the trademark for 100% dope and dope panels.
I was gonna say, you being in music, I figured you'd be attacking the acoustic panels like right away. So both of you guys, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
If you want to take a look, it's dopepanels.com, and we have a lot of panels there.
What was that again?
Dope panels.
Oh, like that's dope, bro. Like, okay.
Yeah, it's dope.
Right.
100% dope.
I love it. Is the co-founder a surfer or?
No, actually, it's just me and my husband.
Oh man, we gotta rock us. That's the beauty of Zoom and live videos. We're gonna rock some live screen sharing now. So
thank you.
Oh yeah, I'm a marketer. This is what I do. Oh, you 100% dope hat. So love that. Oh, yeah. So I already knew about insulation, because one of my biggest contracts in marketing impacts the HVAC industry and heating, air conditioning, and ventilation. And obviously, insulation is everywhere in your home. It's in your air duct work. It's everywhere. So, these are the dope panels right here.
Yeah. So every time you open and close the door, you are breathing in fiberglass, because the door warps, and it just your house, I'm sure, is fiberglass insulated. And even California forest, the fiberglass is floating around the air in the forest. Fiberglass is everywhere. Fiberglass is everywhere, and it's really, really toxic. So we're trying to reverse the damage done to our environment. And this oil spill thing, it really just made me just get sick to our stomach. And we just, teamed up with our colleagues, and we are bringing a bunch of hemp hurd tomorrow and do this thing to present it to the government, and to show them how hemp hurd can be the natural solution to suck the toxic oil out of our ocean, because the birds and fish, everything is dying right now by the seconds, and it's just heartbreaking. It's like we just got through COVID, and then now 125.
Oh, and I can tell you, respiratory impacts are real. I specifically work with a special indoor air quality company out of Vermont who specializes in UV products for killing airborne viruses, ionization technology, MERV 13 class filtration. And a lot of projects I consult on are impacting, which California is big on, is LEED, LEED certifications, which are green certified construction. Which I think California is probably the leading state that has helped really establish LEED certification. So I already know that hemp is automatically a natural green product, so to speak. And I wouldn't be surprised if you get that stuff approved for LEED certification.
Yes,
you're going to see that rolling a lot faster in the construction space.
We're going to have the NRC rating tested with the newest prototype that we're making on tomorrow. Actually, we're making it.
Yeah.
And so we compared it with a GIC panel. I'm so sorry. I'm just kind of digressing, but
I told you guys it's an open format show. We ebb and flow, because actually here's the best part. You go on a regular interview show, people will never know this little side segues off of you guys. And then we bring it back in. Don't worry. I've been doing this a while. I'll bring you guys back in, but it's just a very interesting real world thing happening right now. And this will air in the next coming weeks. So it's like, it'll still be current content. So,
So we compared to the very famous GIK panel that everybody has, and our own sound testing, because we have been sound engineer for a long time, and it really, really is compatible, and we want to make it even better. So we're making a new prototype with the recycled cellulose and hemp fiber and hurt, and see that we can make it a really good product. So everybody and the next generation and your children, your wives, everybody can live in a good, healthy environment with a much better air quality.
I love it. And again, it's something that literally can be grown. Whereas again, you hinted at things like traditional, air quotes, traditional insulated products are again, fiberglass based. And that all is resulting from the raw material, AKA petroleum. Petroleum, aka oil, is converted into so many products to this day. And it's funny, you're trying to clean up petroleum in the ocean. So it's like, well, let's not use a petroleum-based product to clean that up.
Yes. And hemp grows so fast without half the water that cotton uses. And we don't need herbicides or pesticides. So it's a really, really good. It answers to a lot of things.
It's a very strong plant. Mother Nature created that in a very hardy way, as I like to say.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, so again, back to you guys being acoustical. I'm going to go with geniuses because I feel like you guys have been doing this well. I mean, I know part of your background, obviously, Rayko, and I obviously want you guys to fill in the gaps for us. So obviously you've done compositions, you've done projects with other, actually, I know part of your bio, some award-winning people. Frank, you've done a lot of, so how did you guys even get connected? Like I got to know that part, because even with the nice little bio sheet that the Interview Valet team gave me, I'm like, how'd you guys connect up and work together?
It's so prosaic though, unfortunately.
Okay.
I was looking for a singer to sing a particular song, and I looked on LinkedIn of all places.
It is the world's biggest recruiting site.
Well, not for musicians, it's not.
True.
So it was, and interestingly, we found a producer that we work with quite a bit now, a guy by the name of Eddie Gray. I found him on LinkedIn as well. So who knows? It's an untapped resource, but that's where we met, on LinkedIn. Wow. Just about 5 years ago, right, Rayko?
Yeah, I think because musicians, we're often looked at as not a business people, but if we have a LinkedIn business account, it's like, okay, they got the musical side and the business right and the left brain together. Maybe that's why we appeal better.
I will agree. A lot of artists, quotes artists, do struggle to understand or comprehend or make the transition onto the business comprehension side. Some people also justify that, I'm an artist, I don't have time for that. I'm like, well, your artistry is so important and so amazing. It is important to understand that so you can help and impact more people with it. So I truly believe I've had to work with some artsy people in the past. So I had to like break those walls down a little bit. I'm like, you're not selling out. Okay. I was like, I've heard it all. It's like, you're helping people learn about you and get impacted in a positive way for you. Like, for example, obviously I got screen share again because we hooked up the hemp, but I mean, your site, gratitudevideo.com, right? So one thing, I'm a very big personal and professional development person. I talk about it in my new book as well, where it's like, listen, we all need to be personally and professionally accountable for our results. This goes across all dynamics of life right now, especially here in 2021. You can't expect everybody else to help you. You got to help yourself. So I always tell people, find these tools, right? Find these social feeds, find video content, or in this case, I was using an app for a while, just daily gratitude, right? It would pop up and alert me every morning to note something I'm grateful for. And that I used that app for a while, and then it became automatic. It became programmed. I didn't need the app anymore. But that was a major shift in my mindset to get more positive. So to tell us more about this, right? Because I mean, the funny thing is the website is so simple. It's like gratitude video. Okay, I know what I'm going to find on here.
And yet maybe it's a little bit more, because in addition to the audio, the thing that we did here is we took the audio. It's kind of an introduction to meditation. For some people tell us it's a good place to start, but we also added video and we added on-screen affirmational content, which really kind of redoubles the impact because you're connecting in multiple modalities. Yes. If you were to click on one of those, for example, that awakening relaxing there at the very bottom, you would see a little example of that where well, here's Rayko introducing the segment.
You have so many looks.
I know.
I mean, really.
I got red hair, blonde hair, the dark hair.
I love it. It's super fun. I'm just going to
look like a flight attendant here, Rayko.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, one thing first of all, I do condone this because when I was doing psychology in college, one thing I took away. I don't remember anything of the marketing stuff. I tell people all the time, like, you want to understand marketing, you got to learn it yourself. School isn't going to teach that to you. But psychology is a science. So that is something I'll always be thankful for the university for teaching me. And I learned about the different types of learners, right? There's visual, there's auditory, and there's kinesthetic. So you're hitting on the visual, you're hitting on the auditory, right? So, and then I don't know if you have exercises built in this where you're getting people to do things, you're kind of calling them to action, but that'll be the kinesthetic component. And everybody leads with a different one of that trifecta, like some people are more kinesthetic, some people are more auditory. So is that part of your purpose behind this, is trying to connect those?
It was really to connect in multiple ways, as you say, all three. And then I mentioned the microtonal approach before. We're trying to connect because the topic of meditation is kind of a bugaboo for some people. They say, well, I can't meditate. I just can't get into the zone. So these short 6 to 8 minute segments are designed to help people at least get an introduction to meditation.
Okay.
So we use every tool in our tool chest.
So obviously, did you guys start right from the get-go when you started working together with audio and video, or did the video come later and you were leading? Because obviously you have the podcast too. I know obviously you actually, was it more recently you had started the 90-minute suicide prevention podcast? That's newer.
That's a film.
Oh,
and
sorry.
About a year and a half ago. It's called Stay Alive, and it was aimed at communicating with people who are in a very dark place, and they're people who love them, and their friends, their parents.
Well, and obviously right now we're recording this in October 2021, and there's a lot of reawakening into a lot of extra focus this month on suicide awareness and prevention and everything else. So it's interesting that we're talking about this right now. So
good timing.
Yeah.
But, we had a guest. Actually, we worked on it with actual survivor of suicide. His name is Kevin Hines. He jumped off of the Golden Gate Bridge and survived. And only 2% or 1 to 2% of people who jump from the Golden Gate Bridge survives. And
that's pretty far up. That's pretty high.
Yeah.
Pretty high. He thought he considered that he was saved by a higher force that manifested as a seal.
Yeah.
Wow.
That brought him back to the surface. So he's a special guy, and he's got a special story of hope for people that are in a dark place.
Well, the beauty of that is that at least he's still here today, and he has been able to turn that around into a positive result to impact other people, because it's like literally, God, it was this weekend. My wife, we were supposed to go do something. She's like, I can't. One of my old high school friends had tried committing suicide once and then followed through the second time. So, and right. So I was like, so they were doing a walk in his honor. So a whole bunch of people were getting together and doing an outdoor walk to remember him and create more awareness. It's tragic, and it's even more tragic that he tried it once. This is terrible, with a gun, didn't pull it off, and then still, I guess, couldn't get the help necessary, or it didn't impact him enough. And then he basically went for it a second time, a while in between. So he had a chance to work and recover, but it didn't come to fruition. So
that's very heartbreaking.
Particularly tragic, because you would think that he would have sensitized himself and those in his environment to provide the care that he demonstrated that he needed.
Yeah.
And so that's a sad story.
And unfortunately, there's thousands upon thousands of these stories, more now than ever.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead, Rayko.
Oh, just recently I learned the terpene in air, in our air alone, because we were talking about environment and our air quality, and environment is so huge when it comes to our mental health. And, just like you went to Ocean Beach in California, you didn't want to leave because you felt a sense of relaxations and sense of just the you're alive in that kind of place, and people, when they're distressed, they go to the forest, they go to the beach. And because of the deforestation around the globe, the terpene that the tree gives out, the natural chemical the tree gives out to make you actually happy, calm you down, that is getting destroyed so much every single second. And that is tied to the rise of the mental illness as well.
Oh, I can tell you, those 2 years serving as a hotshot, every year I would come back to the East Coast, reconnect with family once we were laid off for the season. But a lot of people don't know this. Most wildland firefighters, especially in California too, whether you're federal or you're the state, they're usually, especially federal, you're a seasonal employee. You're not a true federal employee. You don't qualify for all the full benefits and everything else. There's a core member of the crew, like 5 people, but then a hotshot crew is 20 men or women strong. So all of that is basically ramped up in the spring to allow that crew to be deployed. And then in fall, once you've maxed out your hours, because you have to stop by 18 and 1900 hours in one summer. That's how much you work. So you have a lot of built up accumulated exhaustion physically. And it does take a few months to recover mentally and physically. But I will tell you, I'd come back and get all my blood work done. And my doctor, he's like, you're amazing. He's like, other than being a little stressed, he's like, your stress levels aren't even that bad. And I was like, because I'm a geek about science and testing all that. And I talked to people years later and they're like, dude, your career was living in the woods. You were sometimes at 7,000 feet, 6,000 feet in the side of a mountain. He said, granted, you're breathing in smoke and toxin if there was a fire, but then if you're mitigating the fire and there's no fire around you, you're breathing in mountain air all day long. So I was like, interesting point. Interesting point. And we camped under the stars every single night. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, we didn't use tents. We just threw out our bedroll on the ground and threw the sleeping bag down and you fall asleep looking at the stars.
That is amazing.
Yeah, right?
That is amazing.
Granted, you're working 16-hour shifts to earn that, but I was like, so it's like, okay, you need that sleep, but it was a very interesting cycle. And now it takes all these years later to think about this. And
wow,
it's like, interesting. It's like, okay.
Makes me breathe bitter just listening to you talking about that. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. And that's why my wife, we got our new house. It's built in 75. So it's not new, but I mean, our new home.
Congratulations.
2 acres of woods around me.
Oh my goodness.
So and a barn.
And the guy had just built a metal barn like 4 years ago. So that's my man zone, the gym. And I'll probably move another studio out there, but it's like, I'm surrounded by trees. And that's how she got me. She's like, I found a place. She's like, I know you don't want to spend the money, but she's like, I think you're going to like it.
Oh my gosh. All you need is door panels.
There you go. And it's true. The air, I mean, you guys know if you're in LA or Hollywood, there's traffic, there's smog, there's a lot. You definitely don't have a lot of terpenes.
I know. No, I can see a Hollywood sign outside my window right there, but it's covered in kind of filmy weirdness.
Yeah. So obviously, there's the videos, because obviously we share some of those videos, and then I know you have the podcast side of it too, and we all know podcasting is audio. But obviously we stream this live to Facebook and video, then this goes to YouTube too. So is it the same content, or are the podcast audios different? Are those different than the video stuff? Because obviously here you have your podcast section of the site. So
they're largely the same.
Okay.
Other music that isn't in the realm of gratitude nor meditation that's available.
Okay.
Rayko and I each have our own individual websites for that.
Okay.
Maybe you can give your website, Rayko.
Oh yeah. What's the other one?
Oh, my website?
Yeah.
Oh, like Rayko.com website?
Yeah, that's pretty easy to remember.
You literally own Rayko.com? I mean, It is a very unique name. So by the way, great job for locking that down.
Yes.
Somebody likes fuchsia. I'm guessing that.
Yeah.
Am I right? Is that fuchsia?
Huh?
Is that fuchsia the hot color pink?
Yes, fuchsia.
I used to, my one corporate job was T-Mobile many years ago. I used to manage.
Oh my God.
That was the company color. So, that's the only reason why I know that version of pink.
That's funny. Yes, it is.
Hire me, sound better. I like that.
Yes. So yeah, I compose anywhere from ABBA to Zappa is what they say. And, I worked with, I was blessed to work with Disney, Amazon, feature films and other TV shows. And just like music supervisors will come to me knowing that I am a very versatile, and even as vocally I do, not just you mentioned I have so many different looks, is because I think it goes with the vocal style that I have. I can do the kid, I can do a death metal, I can do like jazz, classical show tunes, and pop
punk
R&B.
rock.
Yeah.
You bet.
I can see you doing punk rock. I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, it just seems like it would click. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then anime, of course, because I'm from Tokyo, Japan originally. So
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to have it like it was expected. But I mean, Japan might know a little bit about anime. Just a little bit. So
yes, just a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I do.
I need to get
And
over
so,
there.
oh, you will love it.
Well, so when I was younger, I didn't
Uh,
click with a lot of traditional school sports, try baseball, try basketball, stuff like that.
uh-huh.
I grew up on a farm,
Oh,
but I was
wow.
a high energy kid and my parents needed to find a way to control it. So I studied Shoin-ryu karate, which originated from
No
Okinawa.
way.
So I each Nissan Shugo Roxy Chachkuju. Is that still right?
Good
Is that 1 through
job.
10? So I still got it?
Yes. Yeah, you got
Okay.
it.
I have
Yeah.
the last karate class I took was 18 years of age and I'm 44. So I never forgot 1 through 10.
Wow. That's amazing.
Okay, there you
Bless
go.
you. That's great.
There you go. I dropped the mic, except it's mounted.
Wow.
And I got yelled at from Sensei Sani. He had yelled Yami. Does that sound right? Did I say that right? Yami. Usually means
Yame?
shut up or be quiet or
Oh,
I don't know.
yame?
Maybe.
Yame?
I was yelled at a lot. So.
Oh, really?
bamboo stick across the back of my knees. I was wearing a gi, so it didn't hurt that
Yeah.
much. So, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
A lot of energy. Energy. So I can still kick over people's heads. So I never, yeah. That's why I recommend continue to do mobility.
Yes.
And yoga. You keep your,
yeah. You got it down. You got it down.
Yeah. But I would love to go there. I obviously after all this COVID stuff is done and travel's a little bit easier to deal with. So
yes.
But I heard Okinawa is not the way it used to be. I heard it got a lot more modern. So
it's so funny. I'm from there. I'm from Japan. I have never been to Okinawa.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I am a city girl. I'm from Tokyo and city I know. But,
and obviously is that your connections with Disney is obviously you probably worked with Tokyo Disney then?
Well, actually,
Disneyland
yes, yeah, I got to sing the newest ride, the Happy Ride with Baymax, like all 6 songs.
Okay.
It was really, really fun project.
Interesting. Now, obviously, Frank, you don't jump in on these, right?
I don't have too much to do with that side. We do a lot of work together, but those are pretty much hers.
So Frank, what is your niche? Like out of this dynamic duo here, like what is your superpower out of this equation?
Well,
he has so much.
There's a lot, but I mean, what would you say is your key one, especially current now in 2021, right here, right now? Like, what are you really leading with? Thanks to your years of experience.
I would say it's how about this for a non-answer? Diversity, because we've done pop stuff. We've just recently completed a jazz song called Quarter Round. If you look in the back here, we can see our album cover from that.
Okay, and, I see that. Yep.
We've done pop stuff. Rayko has a new song out called Woohoo. We did a song that Rayko sings called COVID-19 is Hell. That's in support of vaccination. Okay. So we really, it's difficult to say that we have a particular singular focus because we're pretty broad and we're chameleons when it comes to the kinds of projects that we're asked to do.
I like that, chameleon.
And then also he's very humble. He doesn't mention it, but his words help so much in my composition too, that my weakest area is putting together the lyrics.
Okay.
Like when I compose, I have everything come to my head, like top line melodies, the orchestrations and productions, and even music video. The lyrics are the last thing that I had to really work on. And he can just whip out words like nothing. And it's just, he has so many diverse experiences that he had brings really potent lyrics.
Okay.
That, because some of
he's almost like a, oh God, what am I thinking of? When you hit a tuning fork and it just dials things in. I don't know if that's the right connotation or connection there, but I feel like he's like he hones your art and gives it direction.
We're a good team. We support each other in developing the themes of the music and the direction in which they'll go. And as I say, they're pretty eclectic. So that's
well, I mean, haven't you worked with a few big names over the years? For example, Pink Floyd.
They've got my bio a little funny on that. I never worked with Pink Floyd. I've worked with we had a fellow who played sax for us on a few songs, and he played with Pink Floyd.
Okay. But you've worked with guys who've worked with major artists. So all of that talent bleeds through the lines is how I look
well,
at it.
we hope to be available to absorb it.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
that's
So,
the connection.
well, I like the fact that you focused on being a chameleon, focusing on both of you being able to be so diverse, because for years, and actually I coach people on this. I'm actually working on, the second university I attended, this one wants me to go and speak again this year, but I was like, listen, I won't be available. I'm in the middle of another thing. I'm going to record my presentation for her. That way they can virtually have me present to these like 8th through 10th graders. And I spoke to them like 2 years ago, and now she wants me to do it again. So anyway, the point is that I love pointing out to children, because nobody did it for me, that you don't have to know what you want to do. And there was the old slogan of jack of all trades. I used to make fun of myself and say I'm the Scott of all trades, because if I got bored, I just went and learned something else. And I've worn many hats in my life. And I used to criticize myself because I saw all my friends becoming mechanical engineers years ago. So after we worked at the grocery store, pushing grocery carts for a job and working in the cashier job, I wanted to go to Penn State University and study engineering. And I started, and I hated it. So then after 2 years in the 90s, I took a break and I started working in the corporate world in call centers. And I learned about the power of communication. And I worked my way up from 2 different startup companies. That's how I ended up with T-Mobile. And, that's how I initially built my career, and then got bored of that, so don't be afraid to try new things and connect on new things. I'm a big supporter of that. So I love the fact you went with the chameleon factor, because years later, I realized, especially when I was firefighting, like, things don't phase me that much. Like, I mean, yeah, we all get stressed out in different ways, but I don't freak out, I guess. So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
That is great. I mean, experiences so, oh my gosh. I mean, it's such a trite thing to say, but we only live once, right?
Well, look at you. You're going to go pop into the ocean and deal with some oil slick with hemp. Okay. Now, if you went back just 5 years ago, or maybe it's 10 years ago, talk to yourself, would your other self be like, what am I going to do?
Yes. Exactly.
Right? It's all the more true because the rate of change is so high in some of the positions that didn't exist 10 years ago, and some of the ones that are around won't exist 10 years from now. So you really do need that facility. That's an important part of a career path. You know what I've got to do, though, because I have to jump into another one of these fun events.
Yeah, we are coming to the end of our slot too. So
but for the last couple of minutes, I'll leave you with Rayko, and she can carry with her wonderful narrative. But it's sure been enjoyable talking with you, Scott, and telling people about the Gratitude video series and about a lot of other things too. So
like I said, all this stuff will be linked. So my fans and followers will be able to easily find all your links and your content. We'll make sure that the podcast, everything has a separate link in the show notes on the website too. So that way it's easier for people to find every single thing we talked about tonight. So,
well, thank you so much. And as I say, let me jump off here, but you can continue on for as long as you got the energy.
You got it, Frank.
Thanks. Yeah, we have energies. That's for sure. Hi.
And Frank is out. So
together.
That's cool. Well, I got about 5 minutes left too, because I have a couple back-to-back shows anyway. So I'm the same way, but I get it. You guys get busy. So that's why I tell people 30 to 60 minutes and we're done. So well, obviously, since we have about 5 minutes left. I mean, is there
what were you talking about the experiences? And you're kind of encouraging kids to not worry about, when I grow up, I want one thing and I want to be one thing. It is such a good message.
I feel I'm not a parent. My wife, my wife's a veterinary doctor. I'm an entrepreneur. So it's like, we don't want kids.
Yes.
My friends are like, but you're both college educated and successful people. And I'm like, and
I know.
Doesn't mean I have to create life.
Exactly.
We'll be the cool aunts and uncles.
Yes.
I can write books and try and motivate and inspire thousands of kids instead of just my own. I'm good with that.
I am just so we are very kindred spirit. My husband is actually, because we don't want to procreate.
My wife paid for it. So yeah.
Really?
I clipped before I even put a ring on it.
No right. My husband too. Same,
Oh yeah,
same.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Tell your man he's cool in my book. So,
Oh my gosh. Awesome.
my friends are like,
awesome.
wait a minute, you already agreed to get the clippity clip before you even put a ring on her finger? I'm like,
Yeah.
actually, I did that to try and make sure I didn't have to get engaged for a while. I was hoping that would buy me some more time. I figured I committed more than most guys. So it's like, I was like, hey, babe, you don't need that ring, right? And she's like, that doesn't change anything. So I had fun with that for a little bit. So I think I milked out about 6 more months and then finally surprised her with the ring. But because admittedly, the whole time we were dating, I talked about it I actually mentioned it in the firefighting book about I was a bit of a jackass, and serving as a firefighter doesn't really open up your emotional side of yourself. So I had to work on a lot of vulnerability and balance of life to make that a better thing for her and I. So, and actually, if you talk to her, she would probably say I'm still working on that. So, but yes, it's like I said, if you know what you want,
yes,
then commit, and that's what I do. And I like, all right, I'm all in. Let's clip it, and I can move on. And the peace of mind for that was like, it was so freeing. So
it is liberating. It's just like, and like you said, I love kids, and then I love the reason why I'm doing this work is for the next generation. I mean, it's not for my kid or grandkid, because I'm not going to have one, but the environmental damage is just undeniable.
I'm not a huge environmentalist, but I'm going to back you up on that. I'm like, that's another excuse I'll make. I'm like, to be fair, they say the earth is kind of overpopulated.
Yeah. So
I just did my part. There's plenty of kids. I'll be cool, Uncle Scott. And when you get annoying, I throw you back. And then, or just hand you back.
Our partner is actually an ex car race driver. He raced for 20 years, and he's done enough carbon damage that he really wants to save the environment. So his heart is in it. He's a two-time cancer survivor. When he was 19, he had cancer. When he was 21, he got everything metastasized, and he was dying at 98 pounds. And cannabis helped him survive. So that's how he went to cannabis, and then pot and everything first, and then he went into hemp.
All right.
So
2 years ago, Pennsylvania, I have my medical license. So
wow.
Yeah. I'm not a stoner. I mean, I actually, most of my listeners don't even know. I mention it here and there, but I'm like, I got it actually just for sublingual oils for stress management. That's it. Like, I don't smoke. I don't do any of that stuff.
Me too.
I was like, but there's some amazing, I get this one pain cream. Like when I jack myself up doing something stupid, like jumping my mountain bikes or whatever. Again, I'm adrenaline junkie. I might bruise myself up. You put that pain cream on. Oof, good. Yeah. So, and there's no chemicals. That's the thing. Like, I am an anti-chemical. I tell people all the time, I don't want your air quotes pharmaceutical Band-Aid that has side effects. Because again, it's a Band-Aid because it's not a cure. So I'm a
naturalist and by nature, and I don't take any medicine.
Medicine is needed from time to time. Let's be real.
The emergency doctors are great. I mean, my father was MD, PhD. I mean, I grew up in hospitals and clinics, and I saw a lot of things. And I am all about body healing so much. The body can do amazing. I mean, I had a 1.4 centimeter herniated disc, and I had another 1.2 centimeter, not millimeter, herniated disc at the same time, and the leakage in the spinal canal and everything. And I fixed everything without the shots or surgery, with the help of this amazing natural chiropractor. So
I tried doing that myself with a collapsed lung. I ended up having to get some surgery because it was a collapsed lung. But I didn't know I had it. I had it for 3 weeks. Didn't even know I had it. I competed in a CrossFit competition. My team came in second place, and I'm laying on the mats because I couldn't figure out why I couldn't catch my breath. And then another week goes by, and I'm like, all right, I'll go get an x-ray. And they're like, dude, like 30% of your lung is collapsed. How long have you been like this? I don't know, like 2-3 weeks. But like, again, mind over matter. I'm a huge health nut. Like, my body was just adapting, and I was just rolling with it. So if I was unhealthy and not fit, there's no way I could have been able to do that. They actually said I had a life risking injury. Like, once I got the x-ray, they wouldn't let me leave the office. So like, we've already called you an ambulance. You're going to the ER now. And I'm like, I've had it for like 3 weeks, dude. Like, it's no big deal. And he's like, yes, it is. I was like, okay, whatever. You do your thing.
That's a big deal. 30% of your lunch. Oh my goodness.
You know.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, well, then my wife made fun of me. But also, I didn't eat any of the hospital food.
No,
I had my wife bring in all of my nutrition the way I eat at home.
Awesome.
And like literally, once they did the surgery, because I was in the hospital for 8 days, but that was because they're trying to get the leak to heal on its own. And they're finally like, listen, if you don't like, it may or may not heal. And if you just let's go in and do a little snippety snip, like, you know, so I have a couple scars, and I was like, fine, do that. Just don't mess up my tattoos. That's all I care about. And then, and then we're good. And then, but yeah, post-surgery, I was out in 2 days, and they're like, wow, you have like no inflammation. You're healing amazing. I was like, yeah, I live a very anti-inflammatory lifestyle.
That's amazing. That is really, it's really what you eat. So important.
Yeah, what you get, what you put in is what you get out. But then it's not just that. Back to your points about the earlier show, right? It is our environment. It is the air we breathe. It is my mindset. It's little things like I wear blue light blocking glasses at night. I don't want these frequencies affecting my healthy circadian rhythm. Yeah, I could go on. Like I said, I've had a lot of health shows on this podcast. I geek out, and I thank my guest co-hosts like you, because I just sit here. Like I took this on, like I just run the podcast for myself. Yes, it's actually for my audience, but I get all the same benefits because I'm just sitting here having this conversation, absorbing all of that. And that's what I loved about tonight. It just brought back, you've re-instigated a new focus in my music selection. It's not actually, I got to go through your content now and find some stuff that I like. So,
great.
Because I need to get the audiobook done. So now I think I'm going to try some of your stuff to see if I can ramp it up and knock it out. Cause I'm doing all the voiceover myself. It's my book. It's my story. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I'm
looking forward to it.
I've had a blast with you guys tonight. I'm sorry Frank had to bow out early, but he left me with the beautiful Rayko. So
thank you.
With all of your many talents, I have one question for you that I ask all my guest co-hosts. And man, when I started this show, I was like, you know, what are some powerful words you want to inspire people with to leave behind? And then over the years, because even when we talk about health, business, and lifestyle, there's always this all-encompassing message of mindset. So then we started talking about mindset. And now in the recent past year and a half, I've just realized, like, you know what? I think all of us are meant to leave behind something powerful in this world. And obviously, clearly, you're trying to do the same thing in a couple of different ways. So now I use the keyword of legacy, right? So what would be some all-encompassing words or your legacy message right now in 2021 that you'd like to leave behind for the audience?
I am a huge believer of not putting any limitations, because all you get, the worst you get is a no. So I just encourage everybody to be fearless and do, as long as it's not illegal or hurting yourself or hurting them, hurting others, just put no limitations and just go for it. Just believe in yourself. And if you get no, then move on. But, you know, no is the worst that you get. So, and be kind to all living things, you know, animals, environment, the trees and the oceans, and, you know, do unto others. That's always be my go-to, do unto others.
All powerful words and messaging. I love it. I love it. And actually, it's funny because you just, that's what I do. It's not supposed to be perfect, because I can't stand that word perfect, because it needs to be tossed out. There's no such thing as perfection, but each of those components you left could connect with people a little bit differently. So I love that, because there's different people listening to the show. But the one thing I love about the no is because I've years of sales and marketing experience and branding. And one thing I teach people is that no just means not right now. It's okay. It's like, let that roll over you like an ocean wave. It's okay. Like a lot of people hear the no and like, oh my God. And I'm like, no just means not right now. That means if it's in a sale process, it's like, okay, well, you haven't learned enough about your opposing component or proponent to figure out how do we get to that yes? And also when they're ready for the yes. It might not be right now for them either. Maybe it's 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. You don't know, because you don't know enough yet. So that just means we have to learn more. And then to your point, it's still man to being no, and that's okay. They've just helped you move on to the next person or the next path you're supposed to do. Yeah. Right. It's okay. There's plenty of things to do in this world. Plenty of people to connect with and talk to and heal with. So, yeah. So I get you. I know where you're going.
Yay.
Well, listen, Rayko, hang tight. I want to give you a proper goodbye off the air.
Okay.
For the listeners, for the watchers in the video world on Facebook Live and eventually on YouTube when you watch this, thanks for tuning in to another powerful Live the Fuel show here in 2021. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the book is out on Amazon, so you want to be a hot shot. Again, they just confirmed they live in California. Some of my brothers and sisters might have helped land around where they're living. So I truly missed that career choice. It was all empowering and inspiring and life-changing for me. But again, back to Rayko and Frank and what they're doing. Make sure you check them out. Their main site is gratitudevideo.com. We'll have this all linked in the show notes. They have podcast audio feed. They have video content as we share on the show. And then heck, Rayko's site, rayko.com, Rayko. All this stuff will be in the show notes, ladies and gentlemen. So remember, thanks for tuning in to another podcast here at Live the Fuel. We're here to fuel your health, your business, and your lifestyle. Rayko and Frank honored us today and helped us do the same. So remember, you too can live the fuel. We'll talk to you guys again soon.
Take care. Thank you so much for having us.